Okay. So we greatly appreciate your valuable time and kind consideration to be with us today. Our session is titled Sustainable Project Management, an Invention or a Necessity. Our presenter Eva will walk us through different topics like what is sustainability and the concept of environmental, social and governance, the difference between them, what is green project management and so forth. Eva is president of the board at Green Project Management EMEA, trainer, consultant, academic lecturer, and has almost 20 years of experience in developing business strategy, portfolio, and project management at one of the largest Polish companies. Some housekeeping rules. We'll have about 40 minutes presentation followed by 20 minutes Q&A session. You can put your questions in the chat and Eva will answer them by the end of the presentation. By the end of the presentation, I'll also put two links, one to our survey. We greatly appreciate your feedback about the event and our presenter, and another link to our PDU registration form. Last but not least, I would like to extend our gratitude to our monthly events sponsor, SoftServe. The work of PMI Bulgaria chapter and its members is further generously supported by our sponsors Atos Companies, Flatex DGO, Spellfocus, and Telelink. And I apologize, the slide didn't move to our sponsors. It froze exactly when I had to show it. Anyway, so without further ado, I give the floor to Eva. Now I'll make you a presenter and I will stop sharing. Just a moment.
Okay. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's so great to be here with you and talk about such an important issue as sustainability and sustainability in projects. I just hope that in Bulgaria it's a little bit warmer than in Poland right now. In Poland it's like 12 degrees, so pretty poor and rainy for this time in September. Okay. Thank you for the nice presentation and introduction. I generally come from investment projects. Most of my professional experience I spent on investment projects and implementing strategy in energy sector. As a portfolio manager, very often we were seeking for ways to include somehow sustainability into portfolio rules, into deciding how to prioritize, how to rank projects, so that we make those sustainable projects or those supporting, for example, circular economy, more important, more valuable to the organizations. At that time, I had no experience about tools, methodologies, so that was something tailored by us, how to deal with the issue of sustainability in projects. For the last 2 years, I devoted myself directly to advocate to sustainability. Why in projects? Because the projects are the ways of making change. As our motto as GPM is driving a sustainable change. So we want to drive the change to the organizations through the projects. Because what we believe is that challenges are great in terms of our planet, but every one of us can do something about that with small steps. For example, improving or changing a little bit our projects. But what actually what actually the sustainability is? Because I think it quite became such a buzzword, which you can find and hear almost everywhere right now. Still, many organizations treat that, they produce sustainable clothes or their food is sustainable. Right now, everything becomes sustainable. Another word that you can very often hear is the abbreviation of ESG. So environmental, social, and governance. Lots of regulations in terms of ESG reporting, ESG strategy, sustainability strategy, including sustainability into our strategic goals, mission, vision of the organizations. So, but do we really know what we are talking about and why? What is the real background and why we need that change before we answer the question how to make that change? The main and deep reason of that change is not just to present a nicely looking ESG report because our stakeholders like that. If we want to be truly sustainable, so not only doing some kind of greenwashing or so-called whitewashing, so presenting ourselves as green and being not exactly green inside, is that we want to contribute to stop large changes, large negative changes, which we can see on our planet in terms of environment and in terms of society changes. And the third, we still want to make business, which should be profitable. Okay. Quite in the very center of the slide is that 1.5 Celsius degrees increase. That's the target that the whole world contributed in Paris Agreement, and last year, once again, all the countries committed themselves to do everything to achieve that target. However, that is why we put this. We don't have too much time to avoid cataclysmic conditions. Is that all the countries are not doing enough? And although we have that ambitious goal to stop the high rise of the temperature, we are more on the line of +3 degrees. What it means for the world, we could think that this is nothing. 1.5 or 1 or 3.3, nothing really. On average, it can mean that in many cities, the temperature can be 40 degrees or even higher, so making it completely impossible for people to live in. This already is causing many extreme weather events. Right now, maybe you've heard about floods in Pakistan and a tremendous lack of drinking water. But also here, not looking so far away, here in Europe, we also each year have problems either with high temperatures, like in June or July this year, or heavy rains. Of course, all those environmental issues cause a lot of social problems. There is a huge problem of climate refugees already in Asia, Africa. Many people from Africa moving towards Europe, for example, in South America as well, or Mexico. Very often, wars and crises in the countries are already based on the climate conditions, for example, extended droughts, causing poverty. So all those elements are connected, and therefore so many companies, so many organizations pledge that they want to be net zero. You can see so many regulations here prepared by European Union's Commission, so that we keep that temperature increase on a minimum, that we want to stop those environmental and social negative changes, at least as much as it's possible. There could be many slides that to show to prove those challenges. So but I will just show the two of them. This is how much planet we use yearly. It means that we use, as all humanity, more than our planet can renew, can regenerate during the entire year. So all the time we are using more resources than actually are available for us. On the other hand, just have a look at the numbers of world population. Growing very fast, and most of those people want to live in the cities. That is a tremendous problem in Africa, in South America, in Asia, again connected with the rise of temperatures. To achieve and combat the changes of the climate and those social challenges, United Nations and exactly the United Nations Global Compact developed, and all the countries in the world agreed to fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals. Probably all of you have seen somewhere those nice colorful squares, because that is something that most of the organizations right now want to present, that they are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. And these goals, in details, when you dive into them, are covering more than 100 actions, tasks, which all the countries, but also individuals and organizations, should be fulfilling until the year 2030. So these are the goals, ambitious goals. We are not close to achieve them, although we have those 8 years to fulfill. But at least we are trying somehow. So that high, we could say, big picture of challenges in terms of sustainability, how does it affect projects? So just published this year by GPM insights on nice number of participants, because over 33,000 people from different industries, different nations. How all of those challenges impact the projects? And are we as project managers doing enough? In general, on average, you can see that 38% projects were impacted by extreme weather events. 38%. When you ask program or portfolio managers or executives, the number is seen even higher. More than half of construction projects were impacted. Another question. Should the sustainability be close and integrated with project management? Yes, of course. You can see the numbers. Almost all of project, program, and portfolio managers agrees and say yes. Just one comment here. While looking into PMBOK, IPMA, or other methodologies and project management models, all of them say that sustainability is key, important in project management. But are we doing enough as the professionals of project management? Is it all we can do? You can see that definitely not. There is still much more that can be done in terms of environmental, social, and economical impacts of the project. But what do we actually want to sustain? Where are we on this picture? The traditional economy, here you can see as such a degenerating system, a conventional business that is using the resources no matter what, just to grow, just to expand. So that is all that traditional economists were saying for the last 80 years. Just grow, increase your income, increase your profit. That was the target. But how to grow when you are depleting resources? And you can see that the resources are not unlimited. Therefore, what we are looking for is a sustainable approach, but sustainable approach means neutral, not doing any harm. So it means you should not use more than you can recover. So sustain what we have now. The new trends already are saying that this is not enough, that we should not only sustain what is present at the moment, but also think how to regenerate. However, that is still difficult. Still a great or even greater challenge. But at least we should not cause harm. And how to do that? Is the ESG enough? Very often you can hear about the ESG. Very often you can find ESG instead of sustainability. But the ESG is about reporting, about presenting the results to the stakeholders and answering stakeholders' inquiries, stakeholders' requirements. And we want to be sustainable in our core business, in what is material to us. Not only prepare a nicely looking report. However, I don't want to say that ESG is not valuable. Of course it is, but because it makes us think and talk and make decisions on how to be more sustainable. How do we see as GPM the drivers for sustainable practices? Very often organizations decide on different assumptions to include sustainable practices into their business. The lowest level of integration sustainability is crisis management. So it means the situation when the main driver for including sustainability into our projects and into our operations is to mitigate the risk, to protect the brand because of the crisis. The crisis happened. Think about different sorts of catastrophes caused by companies or organizations, which caused that after that, they started to include some sustainable practices in terms of, for example, human labor. That is a good example of what happens to the fashion industry, who used children, but also adults working in very, very poor conditions in some Asian countries. And just a few years ago, there was a huge construction disaster where almost 2,000 people died. And after that, some of those fashion industries, fashion organizations changed their policies in terms of work safety and health to be more sustainable. Regulatory compliance, a little bit higher level of integration sustainability. And this is something what relates to, just let me go back to the ESG. More and more companies are recently obliged, and there will be even more according to the new regulations, to the new EU regulations, will be obliged to present the ESG reporting. European taxonomy, that is something that the organizations must prove how much capex they spend on sustainable projects and how much income comes from sustainable business. So whether you like it or not, if you want to run a business, if you want to get a loan or a bank credit, you need to include sustainability in your business, at least here in European Union. And that will be more and more focused on sustainability in the coming years. But again, here the driver is mainly focused on how to mitigate the risk, because that is something also what the stakeholders want to see, that we are sustainable. Then let's go further. When we are, as organizations, are a little bit more aware of what are the advantages of sustainable approach, we can see it as a good resource as a good way to optimize resources. And it means to be more cost effective, to increase our productivity, because we are optimizing our processes, project management processes, but also we are thinking in terms of products of the project, how to make it more sustainable and give us better cost efficiency or better productivity. Higher level, market differentiation. We want to be sustainable because we see a gap in the market. We see that our clients, customers, want to see that the products that we create are sustainable. That's important to be seen on the market, or very soon even to exist on the market. And finally, the most desired, the most mature level of sustainable organization is when it is purpose-driven. It means that we as an organization see that when we put sustainability into our core business, into our strategy, into the way we manage the portfolio of the projects and the projects itself, it's a good way to grow, to create value added. Sustainable approach is very focused on benefits, different sorts of benefits. I will show that in a few minutes as well. So when we see that if we include social elements, for example, local content, how we treat our employees, our project team, how we cooperate with our supply chain, with our subcontractors, how we stimulate the local economy, how we take care about local community, if we are reducing the number of waste, if we are thinking about second life of some elements of our products. These are the ways that we can put in the center of our business model and then include it in our project decisions and create the value on that. These are the three measures which we focus on while thinking about being sustainable. None of them is more important than the others. All of them should be considered. And to achieve that, we must have, on one hand, the culture that supports such an approach. So we must understand for what we want to be sustainable. Why is it necessary? We must have such a mindset. Then this must be driven by our leaders and therefore included in the strategy. Driving sustainable change through portfolios, programs, and projects. And of course, then we can think also about sustainable business as usual. I just said that it would be great, it would be the most mature approach to be purpose-driven. That is how we think in terms of benefits while taking sustainable approach. So while evaluating the project, planning the project, and then executing, we should not only think in terms of traditional benefits, but search for more. Search for sustainability benefits, search for benefits from recycling or reuse, and think in terms of cradle to cradle. So how to close the circle, how we can use again some elements of our product. As you can see, it can, but it doesn't have to, cost extra for the project. Very often these are small elements on little cost or no cost to achieve much greater benefits. All right, but how to do that? How to think about sustainable projects in terms of sustainable approach to project management processes, and products of the projects, and what tools, how to start, what to do. That is something that we as Green Project Management want to be helpful. As GPM, we started in 2009. GPM Global was one of the sites working on sustainable development goals. And here in Europe, as GPM EMEA, we started in 2001, advocating for sustainable projects. How we do that? We don't want to compete or replace any methodology that the organization use. As you can see, our strategic partners, we want to support them and support projects no matter which methodology they use to improve in terms of sustainability. In terms of PMI, what I can say is that our cooperation is getting closer and closer. This year, we signed the Memorandum of Understanding with PMI Global in terms of cooperation for sustainability in project management. And I encourage you to look for information, probably very soon in October, about some news in terms of trainings, certification, something that should be, I think, interesting to all to all PMI members, because the cooperation is getting closer and closer. And I can say I can't wait for the announcement and the great effects that we expect to happen. So what we do as Green Project Management, as GPM? On one hand, training and education, not competing, once again, I just repeat, but supporting. If you don't have any methodology for your project, then here you have one from GPM. If you do have, if you work on waterfall or agile, here you can find some nice tools, methods to improve. So methods and tools, training and education, certification as well. We also work on the research and standards. Our core standard is the P5 standard that can be downloaded and used for free, plus forms and some other elements that you can use again for free for your projects. And also some products, some elements that you can use not only for the particular project, but also for the whole organization. So for the organizational assessment, for checking the project and certifying the project, that's 360. And finally, supporting the PMO to become such a catalyst for sustainable change in the organization. So just let me say a few words briefly about the training and education. We work here through accredited training partners, but also through the online trainings. And also we cooperate with many universities through different partnerships, so that to educate, to create awareness about sustainability and how to plan and execute sustainable projects. The trainings you can find either for well-educated project managers or for let's say fresh project team members, focused on tools and preparing to different certification of individuals. The key and basic certificate proving knowledge in terms of sustainable project management is, you can see, the GPMB Green Project Manager. Then the higher levels of certification as well, based on performance and skills. Also quite new public-private partnerships, maybe not that popular here in Europe, but also another certificate. Where to find the tools and the details? The P5 standard that I've mentioned, to be downloaded for free, translated already into 13 languages. Also for free you can download the insights into project management. And the last one, not for free, the Sustainable Project Management Handbook that covers all of the subjects of sustainable project management. How do we see the project lifecycle? How it can be flexible enough to integrate into waterfall and to integrate into agile projects. You can see here on this slide that there are phases that would be, maybe this one shows it better, look quite similar to a waterfall methodology. Okay. Some slight changes. However, a great focus on benefits management and about closing the loop. So thinking about the projects in a cyclical, not linear way. So it means how to use the benefits of the project for new projects preparation. How to reuse, recycle, and create extra value. This can also be adopted into Agile, adding some elements in the Agile framework. That is something that is one of the key elements of the methodology. So the P5, that's what the standard covers, impact analysis. So how do our projects, in terms of project management processes and project products, influence and impact on planet, prosperity, and people? So that is a nice way of translation of those sustainable development goals into what we can do in our project and how we can make it better. Are there sometimes very small and easy things to change, to improve? So based on that, making the analysis, you can, just to repeat, also find the free template with the P5 standard. How to integrate it into our project management plan. So we say that for your project management plan, add one more plan, that is sustainability management plan, which will show how to integrate sustainability into your project, how to create common ways of reporting, how to design the responsibility for actions in terms of sustainability, how to assess and analyze risks, again in terms of sustainability, so some extra environmental risks not covered in risk analysis and identification, and how to make sure that sustainability is truly integrated into our project and not something that is just communicated or reported at the very end in the ESG reporting. Leaving a project for a while, maybe you want to assess the portfolio. maybe you want to assess the whole organization. So again, another tool. However, in terms of what is material for the project, program, portfolio, or organization, not a stupid checklist. Yeah, I have it, not have, no, have, no, have, no. Here we should focus on what is important for us, where we want to put a stress. Okay. Maybe you want to check your project, which is being planned, executed, or completed, either by external assessors or internally, to check if we really included sustainability into the projects. And to drive a change, the PMO should be thinking in terms of sustainability as well. So the PMO should be that element in the organization that makes sure that sustainable standards, tools, practices are included into the project management, to make sure that team members, project managers are aware and understand why and what for we should be sustainable. So to drive and create a friendly environment for project managers to make sustainable projects. That is not something, of course, that is just a click. We don't want it to be like that. This is the way of continuous improvement for the projects. So very often, as many organizations, consultants focused on ESG reporting are offering, or even on the internet, you can find many checklists, many tools to see if my organization, if my project is sustainable or not. We don't want to be like that. We want to see what is really material, what is really important, and what needs our attention, and what are those elements where we want to improve. So
I'm sorry for the interruption because it is almost 20 past 7 hours.
Yes, I have 1 more minute to go and finish it. So for the project and for the portfolio or program, you should be the one who defines the aspiration, okay, and see where you want to be. And that's the engine. That's the engine which can be used for the projects to search for improvements and best practices for the project team in their projects in those different dimensions. So thank you very much. I understand that I talked a little bit too long. I guess, Silvia, yeah?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. Yeah. So we have no questions in the chat box, but please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask your question in person. Thank you, Eva, for your extended explanation and for walking us through from such general topics like sustainability, ESG, to what can be done in practice, and that you actually do it in practice. You're one of the examples. I can ask you, maybe still till someone prepares his or her question. You mentioned that organizations think a lot, so they are still in the, according to your experience, more in the think phase. What are the reasons, or what would you advise organizations that start to think about sustainability now? What is, let's say, the shortest way, if there is such, to become more practical about approaching this topic and aspect?
Okay, of course, it depends on industry and the type of project and organization we are thinking about. Most of, especially large organizations, look at somebody, of the large organizations must fulfill different regulations in terms of gaining funds. Already the financial institutions are evaluating organizations in terms of sustainability. So that was one of those quite low levels of integrating sustainability. But that is something for what many organizations simply must do. But what I encourage is to search how sustainability, so for example, how thinking about local economic impact, as what you can see here in as one of the elements in the P5 standard, and many others, yeah, for example, energy, CO2 emissions, and so on, how taking the sustainable approach can improve our business, can improve our business case, because that's not the issue, not to make business from the projects, not to make a profit. We still want to make that. We are thinking even about increasing the number of benefits. So what I recommend probably as the nice start is to have a look at those elements of the P5 standard and think in terms of particular projects where I can improve and what would be the results from that. What would be the benefits?
Thank you. There is one question from Lili Tsoneva. Sustainability is a big topic in all companies, but how could we promote it better? How do we change the mindset or people?
Changing mindset is always one of the most difficult elements. I think we have all experienced that. A good way of a good start for that probably is that already all the organizations, everybody's talking about sustainability. However, those strategic big picture elements might be a little scary. So think about small steps, what we can do in our projects to make our employees feel better, for example. Okay, what we can do in terms of trainings and education. What we can do with the small steps to improve and show actually that already we are doing many things in a sustainable way and we want just to be better. From my experience, from many discussions with different organizations or participants on the trainings, is that, wow, we are already doing so many sustainable things in our projects and we just haven't realized that. Okay, so that's very often a very optimistic and nice discovery that we are doing something and we were just not aware of that. So just take a small steps. That's I think my advice, also to increase the awareness.
Thank you. There is one question from Ivailo Christoph. Thank you. Hi, Eva. Are you working on in parallel with GRI, Global Reporting Initiative, that defines standards, that recommends the reporting standard and KPIs? How much do you overlap in these areas in your 5P standard?
Okay. The P5 standard is aligned to GRI reporting, TCFD reporting, and ISO, and some other elements. But generally, the idea is that this is not, this should not compete with the GRI reporting or replace that. That is something to make it even integrated with their reporting. Okay. Very often, people who must do the GRI reporting and present such reports complain that in projects they must do such a double reporting. One, there is a status reporting for the project, and the other reporting is done for the GRI, ESG, TCFD report. Okay. We, through the sustainability management plan, can combine them. So we'll include the GRI requirements into your project reporting.
Another question from Enkhajer. I'm sorry, I apologize if I don't pronounce it correctly. Should we add PMO to P5, since sustainability is the last important step of PMO setup?
Maybe not add to the P5 standard, because the P5 standard is something in the middle, is such an engine in terms of sustainable project management. And we, as the PMO, should include, or that would be a good practice, to include the P5 standard or include other tools into our project management standards. So I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly. So rather, I would say that we should add the P5 standard into our PMO practices, in that direction, so that we, on one hand, create awareness, create a better understanding of sustainability, and also give a nice engine to that.
Yes, he says you have understood the question correctly. Because it is close to 7:30, I would like to stop here. I would like to extend my gratitude to Eva once again, and also to the audience for being with us today and for asking all these questions. If you have further questions, please do not hesitate to contact Eva or also me. I will forward the questions to her. I don't see any in the chat so far. But please continue the discussion also after our session. Look, as Eva said, for the upcoming announcements and partnership between PMI Global and GPM. And I look forward to hearing more and more about sustainability practices being adopted everywhere, not only in Bulgaria. Yes, this is one of our, I think, obligations as humans to take care of our home. And thanks to people like Eva and her organization, we have now tools and people who can advise us on how we can do this best. So with this, I would like to thank Eva. Would you like to say something in conclusion? And then I'll stop recording.
Okay, so thank you very much for inviting and for understanding the importance of the subject. That we should be responsible for what we simply do. Yeah, pay attention to that. And I can say that I wish all of you good luck for making your projects better, more sustainable. And stay tuned for the good news about more sustainability in project management soon. Thank you.